In this particular site, it was very interesting because we were able to work very closely with the architect, starting from the siting of the building itself, which is very important in terms of which part of the site it is located, how is it oriented, and so on. We have been specifically very lucky because normally, as a rule, clients are not as open to either experiments or new ideas. We need to make them sensitive to ecological issues which are as important as either aesthetic or functional issues, which is what they're usually concerned with. There are no foolproof arguments. Other than the environment, usually what works is the economic argument. If I tell them that 5 years later you're going to save so much money, usually it works. What we see here is an example of a swale, which is nothing but replicating a natural valley system that collects all the water, both from the rainwater and the irrigated water, and channels it through these artificial mounds and landforms and takes it to the artificial water body, which in turn recycles it for irrigation through a solar pump. All the landforms that you see here in this particular site are artificially created. We use the earth from the excavation of the house to create the mounds, and the mounds have been used only to channelize water in the way that we want it to flow. What we see here is a landscape in transition. 5 years ago, when we started the project, there were no trees on this land. At that time, the land was covered with a lawn. Usually, this is criticized as a not so eco friendly measure. But 5 years down the line, we can see that the ground is very healthy. Once the trees have taken root and the canopies have covered, we don't need the lawn anymore as an artificial ground cover. The landscape will have less and less maintenance as it will become more and more a natural system. What we see here is a good example of a soft road. There is no hard impervious layer beneath, and it is practically as good as having a lawn, which means that it allows the water to percolate inside the earth. It does not require alien material like concrete or cement to be put in below the road surface. The advantages of this system are that there is zero runoff. It means that there is no excess water draining away from the land. It also reduces, or it actually nullifies, soil erosion. The choice of vegetation also is equally important if you're looking at soil and water and all these issues. Basically, we've used only indigenous species. The way the leaves and the fruits and the whole system works is also very important, because as you can see, the fruiting will in turn attract birds, which contributes to the overall ambience of the environment. The many of the other species that we have used here are specifically to encourage insect life, which means they in turn attract birds and so on. All the other reasons one would use the right kind of vegetation other than fruits would be the kind of foliage that is there, small foliage, larger foliage, and the amount of shade they would provide, the amount of leaf fall that happens, which in turn leads to humus. Humus is basically the nutrition in the soil. So the choice of vegetation is very, very important.